Hey, this weekend I want to talk about clover. I didn't get much done out in the back into the food forest. It was a little cold, and there's not really much I can do to the plants other than some minor pruning and some cleanup of the greenhouse, and or maybe some reorganizing. Got some stuff to do in my loft area, which downstairs I want to clear out my back shop and start being able to use it for more uh, garden related things, like some closer, having pots up close so I can do things up here as opposed to just always doing it in the greenhouse. But today we want to talk about clover. In the springtime, I'm definitely going to be bringing in some clover, and there's 4 different types of clover I'd like to talk about. So the best thing about clover is it's a nitrogen fixer. So it really helps you get away from some of those chemical fertilizers that you may rely on, because it's really going to help the ground sequester that nitrogen from the air and put it into the nodes inside the roots, so that the microbes can get at it, and so forth. The worms eat the microbes and then feed the roots in the trees. So yeah, there's so much you can do with clover. I mean, it's also been known as a medicinal a plant. Now, I'm not a doctor. I just want a disclaimer here that I don't give advice on you using herbal medicines, tinctures, or poultices or anything like that. That's for you to look up and for you to decide whether you want to get into it. I don't personally use that stuff. I just go to the drugstore and get what I need. But I do have a book that helps me, will show me how to um, make those poultices or tinctures or anything, basically using plants as an herbal remedy. So yeah, I mean, that's just in a worst case scenario. World comes to an end, zombies attack, whatever. We'll be able to look it up. I also have books on how to identify trees and or bushes, and what's edible, what's not, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I keep those around just in case power decides to leave us and never come back. I'm not a doomsdayer, but I do like to prep just ever so slightly to kind of be a little prepared. So again, when we're working at looking at all these clover, the most common one would be right behind me here is the white clover. Now, most clovers, the 4 we're going to talk about are the white clover, the red clover, the crimson clover, and the sweet clover. And we'll get into that as we go on and move on here. I just wanted to point out a few little things that clover is really good for, like weed suppression. It really likes to work weeds, and or it's a good ground cover to stunt them and or sometimes deter them altogether. So we definitely want to keep them around for the weed suppression. Another thing it's really good for is erosion control. So some of the dense root systems holds back the soil and prevents wind and water erosion. So that's it's always a really good thing to have. Again, I don't have a lot of rolling hills and stuff that much to where I lose it, but the wind definitely comes in and wants to sweep out some of that top soil or dry it off. So we definitely want to keep as much moisture in the ground, and get those plants really working for us. So that's definitely another thing that we use clover for. So another thing I like to keep around these clover for is because some of them have a really deep taproot, and that deep taproot helps with that soil compaction, and it really helps break up the clay and or just really tight, hard soils that have been pounded together. And it's really good to get down in there, and then they die off throughout the winter and allow little channels and stuff for all the other microbes and the worms to go. So it helps. Really, we're trying to get into that soil where all those minerals are as much as possible. Another thing you could use is comfrey to get that, but I know comfrey has a really long taproot, like 14 to 20 feet, and once you get it in there, you can never really get it out. So I'm not really interested in doing that at the moment, but I may come back to that in the future if ever needed be, to enhance my chop and drop or use it as ledging. So it's also good for around the edges of all your guilds too, to help keep the main plants on the inside of the guild and the grass on the outside. And the kind of the last thing here for basically just easygoing knowledge for yourself is pest control. Some of it is actually really good for just keeping away some pests. And bees seem to love clover. I mean, everybody's probably had clover honey at one point or another. So it's definitely a good thing to get different varieties of clover, because different varieties of clover are obviously different flavors, different nectars, and stuff like that. So we definitely want to keep clover around because it is really good. It lasts pretty much the full summer, spring and summer, especially if you have a couple of different varieties, so you want to diversify a little bit. And it's really good. It's got a really good nectar and pollen for bees and other pollinating insects that really help with the fruiting in some of my other trees and stuff. So they'll just be passing that along. It'll attract more bees. And sometimes people don't want to use a lot of it in their lawns or whatever because, well, it'll attract too many bees, and some people don't want that around. But I do. So in the guilds, I'm hoping to create a full ecosystem in each and every one of those guilds by using pollinators, nitrogen fixers, companion planting, just all the 12 principles of permaculture as best as I can do it with, my budget and my physicality to be able to make it happen. So that's a total excitement for me to be able to put that in there and really get some in there. I've been spending time putting in wildflowers, but that may not seem like enough, whereas clover spreads very fast and can go in a large area and really bring them around and keep them around. One of the last things I kind of want to talk about is I know the clover is, and I read this a little bit, is that they're pretty good with metal absorption. So some of your cadmiums and your leads can be taken up into the plant a little bit more, and that's definitely stuff we don't really want on the ground anyways. But I mean, if that's what it's going to do and definitely help kind of sponge that out and clean up the soil, that's definitely what we're really looking at. The chop and drop, the good news about clover, if I can get it to kind of take over a little bit, is I won't have to mow as much. Probably have to do that maybe 2 or 3 times, and it'll reflower each time. So that's a good thing. It just keeps replenishing itself. So right behind me here, this is the white clover. This is what's most common in a lot of lawns and or fields. It grows very easily. It's a pretty invasive plant, but it's a nice plant, and it's very beneficial to have around for lots of reasons. It's popular for lawns and pastures. It fixes substantial nitrogen and improves grass quality, and it's highly digestive. So you can eat it. You can definitely eat the white stuff. I would stay away from some of the red or the crimson. I don't know if that one's going to be so good to eat. But again, I'm not going to convince anybody to do anything. There's lots of things you can do for clover. We can definitely put that in the comments if you've tried some type of clover tincture or made yourself a poultice or some kind of balm or something like that. I'd love to hear about it because, just always interested in learning and see what people have actually done, because I only trust the people that have done it themselves. You can't just trust a piece of paper. So this here's the red clover. It's a pretty flower. Even the white ones are kind of pretty, but I like color. I like reds and blues and purples and yellows if I can get them into the out there, because it's just so pretty to see it in the field to grow that many different colors. And against the, may call me a little bit of a sap, but I like to see the sunset and or sunrise, off some of those beautiful colors. And just like in fall, when you get all those colors of leaves and stuff like that, and that smell you get from the rotting leaves, and it's kind of a sweet nectar smell. I really like that. So yeah, the red clover, this is great for wet and acidic soils. It's a great nitrogen fixer, just like most clovers. And it's excellent for organic systems, which is my food forest. So it's really good for permaculture. We're definitely going to get some of that in there. I went looking for some today, but Walmart didn't have it right now, and all those garden centers kind of slow or slow down, or just basically stored all their stuff for the winter, right? So, but we'll be getting into that definitely first thing in the spring. We'll be putting out a lot of clover, so stay tuned for that video, and we'll get back to that. But yeah, this is the red clover. So now here we have the crimson clover. Now it's a little bit like the red clover, but it's got a nice darker red, and it's a little bit more elongated heads. Again, it's a really good nitrogen fixer. And it usually starts up in spring, so they're usually really sequestering that nitrogen in springtime. They're a spring activated clover, so that's always kind of an interesting thing. This is based on a lot of the stuff I've just been looking at, that each one has a little better property than the other, but they're pretty much do the same thing. Like a few other nitrogen fixers and or some kind of type of sequestering plant like a sunflower. A sunflower can take a lot of chemicals actually out of the ground, so that's always kind of cool. So the crimson clover, yeah, it's comes up early in spring. It provides fast top growth and has really deep roots. It's excellent for mixing with other clovers, and as you can tell, it's very pretty. So we'll definitely be putting some of that in there too. It's also going to help, again, with the weeds suppression. That's definitely what we're looking at, is trying to suppress those weeds, get that nitrogen in the ground, maybe even get some chop and drop somewhere throughout the year. When it comes to winter, it's going to want to die off, and it's going to add it all back to the ground, and everything's just going to keep working. It's food for the microbes right up and through the winter, because in the wintertime, everything's going to go dormant. Right? We want to keep it as live as long as we can to really keep that growth and get all that health in that soil. So it's last year was all about bug suppression, and I'll be doing that again this year. But this year I really want to work on that soil and get that soil to be a lot more rich and really impact that the fruit growth, because we didn't get a very good crop this year. So we're definitely going to be adding some nitrogen fixers. We'll get into some more lupins, which are also nitrogen fixers. Yeah, we're going to do it all. So let's get on to the very last one. That's going to be sweet clover. I call this sweet clover here. It's a little bit different type plant, grows a little bit taller, and it's a biennial. So it's going to come out and flower twice a year. It's going to come out probably in the spring and somewhere just before the beginning of the fall, and it's probably going to come out. And they have really deep tap roots too, so they improve the soil structure. Again, these can also use it to hold the ground in from erosion, so wind and or water. So that's another thing we want to put in there. It helps with improves the soil structure, fixes lots of nitrogen, just like the other clover. And we're going to be doing all 4 mixes in there. We're going to throw as much as we can, and it adds a lot of organic matter. So when this comes up and it dies off, we just chop it, throw it down, and then it grows back again, and we just keep doing it, and it'll be continuous. So it's going to continue to make our soil better and better. So I just wanted to throw in a last little, honorable mention would be the vetch. You take a look at it. It's a good nitrogen fixer too. They say you should mix vetch with some of the sweet clover and the crimson clover too. Kind of have a little bit of a mix, but we'll definitely be getting as many nitrogen fixing flowers as we can, as many wildflowers as we can. And that's what we're going to be doing. And there's not much I can do right now in the wintertime. It's so cold, and I've already got a lot of my plants already started. My seeds are stratifying. So we're on point for springtime. We just can't wait another couple months, and we'll be out there getting working. I'm getting kind of excited already just thinking about it. So I'm glad you guys came by. I hope you learned a little bit of something. Don't forget to comment down below. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up top, and share it with your friends. And stay safe. Come back next week. We'll see what we can do to make another video, and we can learn together. Take care.